Military conflicts can occur in different situations and with varying consequences. Some problems call for a swift response, while others require careful thought. The shortest wars in history come with a cost in terms of resources and human lives. These specific instances of war can be explained by the nature of the conflict, its brevity, or a combination of both. Regardless of the reasons, these brief wars help to highlight some crucial aspects of military engagements. Welcome back to Comparison World Facts. Today, we'll be comparing the shortest wars in history. So here are the 7 of the shortest wars in history. Also, be sure to like the video, as well as subscribe, as we don't want you to miss out on any of our upcoming content. Firstly, the Anglo Zanzibar War. On the 27th of August, 1896 at 9 a.m., 5 Royal Navy ships began a bombardment of the Royal Palace and Harem in Zanzibar after an ultimatum was issued. According to a variety of sources, from 38 to 43 or 40 minutes later, the bombardment stopped when the white flag of surrender was raised over what was left of the palace. This shortest war in history is regarded as being ended after 1 British Marine was injured, compared to the 500 of the local defenders who died. The war started because on August 25th, Sultan Hamud bin Thuwaini of Zanzibar died, and Khalid bin Bargash, Hamad's nephew, seized power. But the British regarded Khalid as being too independent, so they supported Hamud bin Muhammed instead. At 8 a.m., Khalid was given an hour to surrender and leave the palace, after which British Marines loaded on the shore and a bombardment began. When the ultimatum expired, Khalid fled the palace in search of safety and was quickly shipped out of the country. Finally, Britain restored order, and Hamud bin Muhammed was installed as Sultan of Zanzibar, where he ruled as vassal until he died in 1902. Second, the Spanish-American War. The Spanish-American War was a conflict that occurred between Spain and the United States between April 21, 1898 to December 10, 1898. The war was one of the earliest interventions by the United States in Latin America and Europe, and marked the end of the Spanish colonial rule in the Americas. The Spanish-American War was one of the earliest conflicts that followed the acquisition of Spanish territories by the United States. The war took place during a tremendous global tension between the United States and Spain, who were former colonial powers in the Caribbean, and with the United States on one side and the European powers, Great Britain and Germany, on the other. The Spanish-American War was one of the first total wars between industrialized countries. Keep watching along closely if you don't want to miss out on any of the content about the Falklands War we have coming up to you. Third, the Yom Kippur War. A war between 2 Middle Eastern countries, Israel and the Arab states, the Yom Kippur War took place in October of 1973. The war was a result of tensions between the United States and the Soviet Union, which were both supporting opposite sides of the Arab-Israeli conflict. The war was only declared after the surprise attack on Israel by Egypt and Syria. It only lasted a few days, from the 6th to the 25th of October, after which the Arab-Israeli conflict remained unresolved. Nevertheless, the conflict is considered to be one of the earliest Middle Eastern wars because of the region's strategic importance. It also marked the first time that an Arab-Israeli conflict had been declared war, which was a major shift in international law. Fourth, the Falklands War. The Falklands War is widely considered to be one of the shortest wars in history. It lasted for 2 weeks from April 2nd to June 14, 1982, in a war between the United Kingdom and Argentina. The conflict was triggered by the Argentinian government's decision to claim sovereignty over the British-held Falkland Islands. The islands, which are located in the South Atlantic Ocean, are part of the British overseas territory of the Falkland Islands. Argentina, who was led by the military dictatorship of General Galtieri, who had made the decision to claim the islands, called for the United Kingdoms to vacate the islands. While the war was only declared after 2 weeks, the conflict that had started on the 2nd of April 1982 when attempted to claim the Falkland Islands. Keep watching along closely. We've got everything you need to know about the Russo-Japanese War coming right up. We wouldn't want you to miss out, so keep watching. You wouldn't believe how railways played a big part in this conflict. Fifth, the Gulf War. The Gulf War, which occurred in the Middle East between August 2nd, 1990 to February 28, 1991, is widely considered to be one of the shortest wars in history. The war was fought between the coalition of Arab states led by Iraq and the United States as a part of the ongoing conflict with Iraq, which was fighting to try and retain its grip on power after the fall of the Soviet Union. In order to put pressure on Iraq and force them to withdraw from Kuwait, The United States and its allied countries, including Saudi Arabia, attacked Iraq's military positions. The war was over after only a short period of time because US President George Bush was eager to see it come to a rapid end. 6th, the Russo-Japanese War. In 1897, railways were being constructed in China so that it could be opened up to commercial exploitation. Japanese leaders were armed by the potential for railways to be used for economic control, colonialism, and military policy. In 1902, Japan signed a treaty with Britain that would intervene if a country joined Russia in a war against Japan, effectively removing the threat of other European powers' involvement if hostiles broke out. In order to prevent other European powers from intervening should hostiles break out in that region, Japan encouraged Russia to strengthen its Far East forces. Negotiations stalled, and on the night of February 8th to 9th, 1904, Japanese destroyers attacked Russian warships on Manchuria and Incheon in Korea. Japan declared war on February 10th. Strategic, international, and personal factors all contributed to the war between Japan and Russia. A surge in Japanese military growth and modernization clashed with military, political, and commercial interests in East Asia. The Sino-Japanese War of 1894 to 1895, in which Japan eliminated Chinese power in Korea and gained control of the Liaotung Peninsula in Manchuria, is a prime example. An alliance of France, Germany, and Russia forced Japan to return the Liaotung Peninsula in exchange for an increase of reparations. Russia established the Russo-Korean Bank and moved troops into Manchuria in response to the Boxer Uprising in order to prevent China from leasing the Liaotung Peninsula to China for 25 years. Russia demanded a 25-year lease from China in order to establish the bank. The Russo-Japanese War is considered to be one of the shortest wars in history. It lasted from 1904 to 1905 and was fought between Russia and Japan. The war was triggered by a dispute over control over Korea, which was then a Japanese colony. The war ended with a Japanese victory, with Russia forced to cede Korea and pay a large financial indemnity to Japan. The Russo-Japanese War was declared after only 2 months because the war was brought to a swift end by an accidental explosion on the Russian battleship Poknin. 7th, the IndoChinese War. The IndoChinese War of 1962, also known as the First IndoChinese War, was one of the shortest wars in history. The war was fought between India and China between October 20th, 1962 to November 21st, 1962, and was one of the first wars fought between modern Asian countries. The war was triggered by the Chinese invasion of India's state of Akasi Chin, and was fought between the two Asian countries in order to determine which one would control the region. The war has ended over only a month because the Indian Prime Minister at the time wanted to end the conflict as soon as possible. Military conflicts can occur in different situations and with varying consequences. There are situations that call for a swift response, while others require careful thought. The shortest wars in history are those that come with a cost, both in terms of resources and human lives. These specific instances of war can be explained by the nature of the conflict, its brevity, or a combination of both. Regardless of the reasons, these brief wars help in highlighting some important aspects of military engagements. And there you have it. Everything you need to know about the shortest wars in history. Also, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. We wouldn't want you to miss out on any of our upcoming content. Thanks for watching.